Hey, drop me a note in the comments. Let me know you are here. I am trying to get settled in. Our guest today has not showed up yet. So we are running a little bit behind. And I don't really know what's going to happen. So we may be winging it this morning. We may be absolutely winging it this morning because, yeah, my guest this morning hasn't showed up. So I don't know if I crossed my wires or what happened here. But drop me a note in the comments. Let me know you are here. Let's have a conversation. Let's absolutely have that conversation. Good morning, Anne. How are you? What is going on in Ontario today, Anne? Good morning, Linda. Great to see you here as well, my friend. You know what? Wait. I gotta stop. I gotta figure out how to monitor these comments and not have this thing playing in the background at the same time. So we will do our best. Yeah, like I said, my guest this morning is not here and not responding to texts or phone calls. So I don't know. Like I said, I may have screwed something up. I may have not. I may have got my wires crossed. I don't know. I don't think so. But in any event, what do you guys want to talk about this morning? Mitch, how are you, man? What's going on in your world? Mitch, I want to hear more about you and the work that you're doing. As much as you can share, as much as you can talk with us, I would love to hear a little bit more about what's going on in your world. I'm setting up my screen so I can see you guys all over. Shane, how you doing, big guy? What is going on, my friend? I love it. You guys are all over on mikecameron.ca. I appreciate it. If you guys have not signed up for the community yet, sign up for the community. All right. So let's do the intro. For those of you that are new, this is Men Up with Mike. It's the show where we talk all things leadership, personal development, and we do it through the context of what it means to be a dude, what it means to be a man, and some of the unique societal pressures that get placed on us as dudes. And yes, patriarchy be damned. I absolutely know there are a lot of pressures put on guys these days that we don't often talk about. And in fact, not only do we not often talk about it, sorry, I got to move my things around here. So if I'm looking over this way, it's not because I'm not paying attention. It's because I am paying attention. Mitch is playing a sixth string. What are you playing, Mitch? What kind of music you got going on? I feel like I had a look at your Spotify, and I think you and I have a similar taste in music, if I am not mistaken. So what are you playing on the sixth string while you're watching? Is it a day off for you today, or is that how you kind of chill at the office? All right, guys, drop me a note in the comments. Like I said, my guest isn't here this morning, so we're just going to riff. We're going to chat. We're going to have a little bit of a conversation, and maybe talk a little bit about what it means to be a dude and how we navigate that in this world where sometimes it's really not okay to talk about the fact that it can be fucking tough being a dude. Like it really, really can. Oh, Blackbird by the Beatles. You know, my ex-mother-in-law used to play that all the time. So that one's not one of my favorites. It's got that sort of memory vibe attached to it. Great song though. But yeah, that comes with, I tend to attach moments, memories to music. That to me is one of the best ways that I can recall memories and really just anchor those feelings back. So let's talk about that a little, because I think that for guys can be a really important thing to recognize, is finding ways to anchor those feelings when they come up. So like I said, for me, I do that a lot with music. You know, if Michelle and I go on an adventure and we do a thing, if we go to Canmore, if we go to, New Zealand, or we went to Costa Rica, I will often try and find a song that happens to be in the moment. Maybe it came up, maybe it was playing at a restaurant that we went to, and put that on repeat. So I'll grab onto that and I'll play it over and over and over again. And really anchor that feeling to that piece of music. And the beautiful thing about doing that is when we anchor our feelings to a piece of music or a physical touch, you see, I do that quite often. I do the touching of my chest. To me, that's a grounding thing. But when we can attach a feeling to either a song or a touch or a physical movement, we can recall that feeling anytime we want. And that's a powerful thing, especially, if we can do that with our good feelings, we can anchor. Hey, good morning, Brenda. How are you? It is good to see you. I was just saying my guest is a no-show this morning. Actually, I'm just going to quickly check over here my email and see, no, nothing there. I thought something maybe came in, but not so much. So sorry, yeah. Squirrel. When we can anchor those positive feelings to, like I said, a physical touch, a song, a sound, a taste, a touch, an environment, it allows us to recall those at will almost. And when we're in a place where we're feeling kind of shitty, we can really grab back onto those. So yesterday was a great example. Yesterday I was having a bit of a shitty morning and I was just struggling a little bit with motivation. And what I ended up doing was I stopped really mid sentence. I was doing some writing and I thought, you know what, this just isn't working. I got up, I went and hopped on my treadmill. I cranked up some music, a little bit of AC/DC, Shoot to Thrill, and I did some sprint work. So 15-minute warm up and then 5 minutes zone 4 work. And it really, really took me out of that funk and brought me back. So I'm trying to watch what Mitch is saying here. I have way too many songs with so much attachment. Yeah, but isn't it a beautiful thing? Like, it really is a beautiful thing. It allows us to recall those feelings at pretty much any given time that we want to. And by being mindful of that, when we have those good feelings, when we have that up day, when we have that positive experience, what if you were intentional about finding a way to anchor that within? This one and Billy Ocean's Get Out of My Dreams and Into My Car. That was 1994. I went to Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, and I did the Firewalk with Tony Robbins in Vancouver, British Columbia. And that song was one that he played over and over and over again and had us doing this. Tony does this chest bump thing, which is kind of a power move. And to this day, if I really need to get out of a funk and I think about it, I can flip on that song and boom, instantly I'm transported back into that state, that positive vibe, that energized state of being. And it's a really, really powerful thing. So one of the things to think about today is, as you go through your day, if you find things that light you up, that give you joy, start to pay attention to those anchors, those triggers. Again, we often talk about triggers in the context of negativity. Oh, I got triggered, which means I got upset, I got angry. But what if we can find those triggers, those anchors, to attach those positive emotions to, those positive feelings? And what if we were intentional about that? So today, when something goes good, if you can find a moment in your day that lights you up, what if you could find a way to anchor that feeling? Maybe it's a chest bump. Maybe it's a song that happens to be on at the time. Can you replay that over and over and over again? Maybe it's a taste. Maybe it's a smell. Maybe it's, again, something physical that you can do, that you can recall at any time. Do a little twirl, stand up, spin around, get up from your desk, hop on one foot. I don't know. Do something that you can physically anchor that emotion to, so that when you need to bring it back, you've got the opportunity to do that. And I think that can be such a powerful thing. Look at this. All started from Mitch playing his sixth string. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thanks for sharing that, Mitch. What else you guys got going on today? This is an opportunity. Like I said, my guest didn't show up. I have nothing prepared today. So we're just going to riff a little bit and we're going to talk. Again, I want to talk a little bit more about men and the challenges that we run into as dudes, because again, I don't think anybody wants to talk about that because we're forbidden from talking about that, especially me, a middle-aged white dude. What have I got to complain about? I've got all the privilege in the world. Absolutely. No question. But there's no denying that privilege comes with a cost. You know, whether it's self-imposed or societal imposed, there is this feeling as a man that I need to show up, that I need to be the leader, I need to be strong, I need to be the provider. And let's not discount how fucking heavy that burden is, because it is incredibly heavy. It's incredibly heavy. And whether or not it gets openly acknowledged, it's still there. It still sits there sort of underneath the surface. And there just aren't many spaces where guys can talk about that. Because again, oh, woe is you in your house with your white picket fence and your, you know, again, not to take away. I mean, I've got everything I could ever want. But that doesn't take away some of that burden. That doesn't take away some of that pressure that comes up that I feel. And, you know, that can be immense. That can be very, very strong. Sorry, I'm just hopping over here, having a quick peek to see. Yeah, no, and that ain't gonna happen. So that's all good. Yeah, so again, being able to have that conversation, be able to create that space where we as men can have that conversation and just talk about, no matter how good we've got it, there is still this burden, self-imposed or not, that we carry, this weight that we carry. It's like this weighted vest. So everything we do with this weighted vest. And I know you may go, boo-hoo, sorry, dude. But it's there. The reality is it's there. It's why men commit. I gotta get my phrasing right. It's why men kill themselves 3 times more than our female counterparts. It's why there's violence in the world, because we don't understand how to unpack that, how to process that. And that becomes a huge, huge problem. Hey, good morning, Stacy. How are you, my friend? We were just saying my guest didn't show up today, so we're just riffing today. We're just having some conversation about some of the pressures that we as dudes feel and the lack of a space to unpack that, the lack of a space to have that conversation. And it's an important one to be able to have, because if we want to really connect with who we are, our deeper self, our purpose, our meaning in life, we need to be able to connect with all those feelings, whether we feel like we should have them or not. We need to be able to unpack them, look at them, examine them, understand them, scatter them on the ground, spread them out, and start to look at them and start to examine where they impact us. Thanks, Anne. I appreciate you. You've been very quiet these last couple of days, Anne. What's going on? I hope you're doing all right. Hey, good morning, Wes. How are you, my friend? It's been a while. I haven't seen you in a while. Once again, guys, if you get the opportunity, I would love it if you'd go over to mikecameron.ca and sign up for the community there. It's completely free. I am starting to post more and more content over there. I am going to have there are some exclusive things over there, but I really want to build and grow on that platform. I will be giving away a book in the next month, in the month of November. So anybody that's registered on the site, I will be doing a draw for a book this month. So please go sign up over at mikecameron.ca. We would love to have you there. Michelle and I are actively engaged there quite regularly, as is Anne. Mitch says he uses the music to take that weight off, to remove that weighted vest. Yeah, that's a great way to do it, Mitch. We all have to find ways that we can take that weight off. The problem becomes, and I'm curious, Mitch, if you're willing to share. So you take the weighted vest off, you play a little bit of music, you go back to regular life. Do you put that weighted vest back on again? Because I think a lot of times we do. Wes says, I feel that I cannot become vulnerable. Ego pride is too strong to show weakness. Ha! So here's the thing, Wes. This is where we need to find that balance. Your ego pride is too strong to show weakness. That means you equate vulnerability with weakness. Dude, vulnerability is the strongest fucking thing you could ever do. It's easy to bury that shit. It's easy to show up and pretend you've got all the answers. That doesn't take courage. Yes, Linda, autographed book. Absolutely. Absolutely. I will do an autographed book for you guys. No question. I'm getting closer to having my audiobook out. I think I'm at chapter 11 right now, recorded. And then of course it needs to be produced. Stacy says, I think we often think that vulnerability happens to others and not to us individually. Yes. And see, this is the thing. When we as men, and this is what I found for myself. So I'm just sharing my experience that, yeah, Mitch says, yes, he does. Music is only temporary. The fix is only temporary. He takes off that weighted vest to play his music and then puts it back on to go back to real life. So this is where I come back to, what if we had some practices that we could put into place on a regular basis that maybe didn't take that weighted vest off all at once, but started to remove some of those weights just piece by piece. And gradually over time, that weight gets lighter and lighter, and those steps become easier and easier. This is what I do. This is exactly what I do with our Lifestyle by Design program. I think any of the guys in there that have done that program would tell you exactly that. One guy in particular, I was just thinking that last testimonial I received, he talked about feeling lost and rudderless and just having no direction. And then when we got together in that group within a matter of 4 weeks, having that purpose, that intention, that focus, it's been game changing. Again, removing some of those weights, just having space to unpack some of those weights with another dude and be able to have that conversation so that you can create strategies around how to not put that weight vest back on, or at least, take one of those weights off when you put it back on so that it's a little lighter as we go. This is a great conversation, guys. Thank you so much. Stacy, we often think that vulnerability happens to others and not us individually. Yeah. So again, where I was going with that, my own personal experience, when I split from my wife, I'll give you the abbreviated version. And it was, I was on an executive retreat down in Jamaica, sitting on the beach, getting served by the wait staff, margaritas. Life was fucking wonderful. This was, I think, the 6th year in a row that I had earned going on this retreat. We did Bahamas, we did the Grand Cayman, we did Jamaica, again, just spectacular destinations. And I remember sitting there on the beach, drinking my Mai Tai, reading a book, looking up and seeing this couple in their mid-60s walking down the beach hand in hand, laughing and skipping and having a great old time. And I just thought, you know what? I'm never going to have that the way my relationship is right now. And I realized at that moment that something had to change. I recognized in that instant that I had a decision to make. If that's what I wanted for my future, that I needed to be intentional about that now, today. I think I was in my early 40s at that time. So, I had 20 some odd years to get there, but I had to be intentional about it. And so when I went home, I don't know whether it was right in that moment I made that decision or on the airplane, but somewhere between that time and the time I got home, I made the decision that something had to change. And so I started pushing the envelope back home. We did counseling. We did all the things. And sadly, the marriage didn't end up working out. After 13 years, we pulled the plug and we called it a day. But I started really at that point, I dove into fitness. Those were the things that lifted the weight for me. I dove into endurance sport, Ironman, long distance running, um, all of those things, yoga, meditation, but it was all individual. It was all self work. And what I realized was coming back to some of the research, the studies I've done, understanding that vulnerability is the core of all our emotions. So if we want to get deep within ourselves, we need to learn to practice that vulnerability. And back to Stacy's point, we often think vulnerability is something somebody else does. And what I realized was that vulnerability, by definition, is not something you can do alone. Vulnerability takes more than one person. So endurance sport, solo effort. Meditation, solo effort. Yoga, solo effort. And so I realized that I needed to surround myself with a group of dudes intentionally to practice that vulnerability. And Wes, I would love to have you come join I've got lots of different options, from free to super expensive because I'm not cheap. But there's lots of different options for you, Wes. If you're interested in having a conversation, shoot me a note privately and we will. But vulnerability takes practice. And when you can do it in sort of behind closed doors in a safe space to start, that's when we start getting that muscle, right? It's no different than physical fitness. We need to start small and we need to progress. So that is when it comes. And Brenda says, being vulnerable has been the biggest hurdle because showing emotion for so long was just used against me. I think for men, this is something they need to deal with as well. Being vulnerable is difficult, but so freaking empowering and enlightening. It absolutely is. And it's hard. Stacy says, knowing how or when to remove or addressing pieces of the weighted vest is when the skill of balancing comes into use. It's recognizing what is the skill or ability. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what you're getting at there, Stacy, but yeah, there's definitely a skill in removing bits and pieces of that weighted vest. And I think, yeah, I mean, that's a good point too, is again, just shucking it off all at one time. While we would love to do that, the reality is it's probably not going to happen. And we need to start to pick apart those little things and do the simple steps. Again, when I run 100 miles, I've told you guys this before. When I run 100 miles, if I have to think about running a fucking 100 miles, I can't run 100 miles. But if I think about getting to that first aid station that's maybe 10 kilometers down the road, maybe 6 miles, 7 miles down the road, I can run 6, 7 miles all day long. And so I do it bit by bit, bite by bite, piece by piece. So yeah, just taking off those little bits and pieces and gradually reducing that weight. And it's an art, it's a skill. It takes time and it takes practice, but we've got to be intentional about it. If we're not intentional about it, it's never going to happen. If we don't start doing something today, flash forward 5 years, guess what? That weighted vest probably actually got heavier, not lighter. So we need to be intentional about that and start today. And that's where, my hope is that programs like this, having these conversations, start to help If you guys want to dive in deeper, I've got free options. I've got paid options. I've got lots of options for you. I can help you get there. That is my mission in life, is to create an army of emotionally connected dudes that teach other dudes how to remove that fucking weighted vest and live that life that you really want to live. Have those relationships that we all crave, that we long for. It's a beautiful thing when that starts to happen. You know, like I said, back on that beach in Jamaica, I had all the trappings of success. Outwardly, like anybody around me that looked at me would, oh man, that Mike's got it so together. Runs a great business, gets all these exotic trips, does these, you know, executive retreats at these destination resorts that are ridiculously like, I mean, they're nuts. They were crazy. But yet there was an emptiness. There was an emptiness in here that needed to be filled. You know, and that's why I sold my business. You know, it's that old Viking trick of you burn your ships at the shore. While I had that as a crutch to fall back on, you know, I was still going to get sucked back into those trappings. And I didn't want to. My passion is helping others find those options. Linda wants to know, where do we find them? Have a look at mikecameron.ca. I've got to do a better job. I'm terrible at self-promotion, so I don't often talk about it. I'll shoot you a note afterwards, Linda. You know what? I'll shoot you a note afterwards, Linda, and share with you some of the things that I'm working on, some of the programs that I have available, and we can go from there. But we can have a private conversation, or we can also tee up a time to have a face-to-face coffee as well. I love connecting with people one-on-one. That's largely where I spend my day. So I don't sell what I do. I let people experience what I do. That for me is a much, much more powerful place to come from. And, you know, that's what I hope I can do with this Men Up with Mike show, is show you some of the work that I do and how you can apply it to your own life. And again, I don't want cost to be a barrier to anybody, but by the same token, if you're willing to invest in yourself and you want to take it to that next level and you want to fucking ramp that up and you want somebody that will hold you accountable and teach you how to get there, I can absolutely do that. Anyways, my friends, this has been super fun today. So I appreciate each and every one of you showing up here every single day. I know lots of you do tune in every day. I'm going to reassess how we do this thing probably in the beginning of 2021, whether I reduce the daily format to maybe a weekly. I'm putting up some more courses online. So I'm working on a Practice the Pause for Men, which will be kind of a meditation in disguise. We wouldn't call it a meditation because you dudes would probably not show up. But I want to teach you how to slow the fuck down. Because for me, that has been one of the most powerful things. Practicing that pause, learning how to slow down. And in fact, I've been able to go so much faster now that I've learned to slow down. And I know it sounds so counterintuitive. And I love it. You know, my editor, Shannon, the editor of my book, that's the one thing she took away from the book. She spent a lot of time examining all the words that I wrote in here, all 292 pages of this thing. And her big takeaway from this book was sometimes you need to slow down to go faster. You know, it's really cool to see the different things that different people take from the book. So yeah, once again, I'm going to put a quick plug in because I very rarely do. mikecameron.ca. If you want a copy of the book, Under the How I Serve tab, there is my book. You can click on that. You can order it there. If you order it there, it actually gets shipped out of my house, so I can sign it. If you want an autographed copy, I can absolutely do that. The other option is it's on Amazon. .ca and Amazon.com. If you are international, you can always get it there. Becoming a better man when something's got to change. Maybe it's you. All right, my friends, what a great chat this morning. You guys really lit me up this morning. So, I know Anne. Anne says, I hope you don't reduce it to weekly, but I'd understand. Thanks. I know, Anne. I think of you often when I consider how I would do that, because I do not want to let you down. I love having you here so much. Anyways, my friends, as always, continue to make beautiful shit happen and have yourself a fantastic